see from way out. I'm talking way out. Way out. Yeah. See if you believe in the God in you. It's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better day. Know that love and joy and peace is one in all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. I'll give us your energy. That's right. I'll give myself. Only you can make the change. I'll give myself. Your energy. I'll give myself. Shine so bright from darkness to light. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your way out. Oh, it won't seem way out. The power of God will flow through you from way out.
So today I wanted to do a show about love. So there's so many shows just talking about like relationships, but the biggest part of relationships is love. And some of the very first things that you feel when you actually begin to love a person is romantic love. But what happens when romantic love and a thing called limerence gets in the way? How do you know if you are experiencing romantic love, or limerence? So here we go. Limerence is an involuntary state of intense obsessive infatuation characterized by intrusive thoughts and a desperate craving for reciprocation. In contrast, love is a steady partner-centered emotion built on mutual trust, emotional safety, and acceptance of imperfections. So with today's conversation, what we're going to do is we're going to go into, is it love? Is it limerence? And what are the connections between romantic love and witchcraft? Let's start it off.
Me off about this Megan Thee Stallion shit. At some point, women are really going to have to come to grips with the fact that these men just ain't And yes, your man too, sis. So before you and the Wives Club come jumping in my comment section, I want to remind y'all of a couple of things. Number one, the biggest customer base for sex workers and strip clubs are married men. And number two, and far more sinister, is that the vast majority of new HIV cases in Black women does not come from strangers or casual sex. It comes from husbands and boyfriends. So now that we got that out the way, I'm gonna need y'all to just pull a chair, sit down, be quiet, and don't embarrass yourself, because I promise you, as soon as you get on the internet and start capping for a man, he will embarrass your ass. I had to put my glasses on so I could see y'all better. Romantic love is a love spell. A literal love spell. What you have been told and taught about what romantic love is in fact a spell. Have you not studied the history of romantic love? Where it was created, why it was created? Romantic love was created in order to give men who did not have the assets to truly participate in patriarchy access to the benefits of adjacency to it. In other words,
don't have to worry about no groceries. We can fill up on love alone.
And to ultimately make sure that every single woman was being controlled one way or another. Patriarchy has done one hell of a number on women's minds and hearts when it comes to romantic love and the positioning of men. And what this has ultimately done has made women not see men for what they actually are, but for what they wish they could be, or for what they were told they should be, and ignore the actual reality. And the truth of the matter is, men are men, and they are not going to be anything other than what they are. And if you want to be with one, you better accept that reality and act accordingly, and stop acting surprised when they do exactly what they've been doing forever.
So let's talk about it. I mean, have you ever like been in a relationship and you look up And you're like, how in the heck did it, what happened here? What happened here? You know what I'm saying? Let's
Wait, I know this one. Deliverance is one off. You regret it. You're bitching yourself up for it. You feel dumb for having feelings. And now they're not, you just realize how horrendous the experience was. And you're like, you need therapy, because the same. I was walking today and then I just realized, holy mother of buckets, like, why is my brain, dude, I'm smart, like, what happened there? What, it's not even, why?
The only reason that you liked that man in the first place was because you were under a spell. This man wasn't nowhere near your type. You lowered your standards for him. You started accepting shit that you knew you weren't supposed to be accepting. You just were not yourself. You were under a spell. After relationships like this, when you start questioning, like, how did I ever fuck with that? How did he ever pull me? How did I lower my standards this much? Baby, that is what spells do. Men come along with this super charming personality. They real manipulative. They lie about everything. They start to control you in ways that you don't know are controlling at first. You see it as being cute, but it's really control. That's how most of them do it. And before you know it, you doing shit that you ain't never did for a man before. You doing stuff you said you would never do for a man. You putting up with shit that you said you would never put up with. Yep. Most of y'all under spells and y'all don't even know it. Once you break the spell by detaching from him and praying him away, you gonna feel so crazy. You gonna feel so dumb because it was them spells that was making that nigga look so fine. It was them spells that was keeping you somewhere you knew you weren't supposed to be. Baby, all I got to say is stand up. Stand up. Before it goes any further, stand up. You don't even like that man for real. You are under a spell. Get the fuck up out of Dodge. Now,
that's what it really boils down to. And see, the thing is, when people think about spells, they think about a person standing over a candle. They think about all these different things. But let me tell you something. It goes so much just simpler and deeper than that. Some of the things and the push and pull methods that are happening in relationships, male and female, are actually rooted in witchcraft. Let's go.
Intimacy seals the deal in love spells. There's people that hit me up all the time. Oh my God, I just met this guy and we stopped talking. I want to know if I can do a love spell on this person. I ask, were you ever intimate with this person? They tell me no. Right off the bat, I don't even need to entertain the case anymore. Because if it's one of those spare of the moments you met the person, there was never any intimacy, and then all of a sudden y'all stop communicating, I don't even take the time to bother with a case like that, or even take the risk of doing something of that sort, because there's not enough connection. The spirit needs a connection. The spirit needs something to work with. And if there was no intimacy involved, there was nothing there.
Hey, Suzanne.
You're not giving the spirit the leverage that it needs to bring that person to you.
You see this? So it all starts out with intimacy, whether it's kissing or hugging or any type of intimacy, romantic, that will draw you to a person. And don't fool around and have sex with the guy. And then you're bound to that person. And every time they think about you, or maybe that's why you got to watch out who you send your pictures to. Have you noticed that the first time you meet a guy, the first thing they ask you is for your picture? What do you think they're doing with that picture, y'all? And all that is, that's witchcraft. He's jaying off to your picture. You know what I'm saying? And that's witchcraft. And then you wonder why you're thinking about this guy, and you're like, why am I thinking about this person? Because he's up there pulling on your energy, thinking about you in a sexual manner, jaying off to your picture. They're always asking you to show them your boobs or whatever, take a picture and send it to me. Why do you think that is? So people be doing witchcraft and don't even know what they're doing. Let's go.
If you want to make someone obsessed and crazy about you with a love spell, you need to leave that person alone. You need to build up the Jones, the crave. See, when you're out of sight, out of mind, the spirit's going to be talking to that person, communicating with them. They're going to have a mental dialogue with that person. So now, everywhere they go, they see someone that resembles you, right? Everything they eat begins to be something they have a nostalgic moment where they think about you. But if you're all in their face all the time, when does the individual have that time to think about you or associate those things with you? You need to give that person their space so that the spell can consume their mind and make them crazy about you.
Do you see that? So you wonder why that guy is not answering your phone call. You know, he gives you a great time. You spend the man. You enjoy yourself. You're laughing. You're kikiing, and then all of a sudden he just disappears. All that is manipulation. You know. Meanwhile, you're wondering, why am I thinking about this guy so much? Why am I obsessing? And that's where we get into this whole limerence conversation. You know, we need to like really discuss like how relationships affect us in these obsessive ways and what it really is. Let's really talk about it, right? People want to blame it on each other. Oh, it's the man and the woman or whatever. Well, what about these things that happen in relationships when it comes to love that causes each other to obsess over one another? But then that person is becoming unavailable because they want to have control over the situation. Let's go.
Y'all know that limerence is a love spell, right? I'm gonna make a bunch more videos on stuff like this, but science and psychology is just the breakdown and the understanding of magic, because magic was here before the understanding of psychology and science. Y'all know it. Y'all know that, right? Every human knew about magic before we knew about science and psychology. Y'all know that, right? Science and psychology is just a breakdown and understanding of what magic is doing to you or what magic has done to you. Now let's get right into it. Limerence is a love spell somebody that cast it on you. Limerence is a love spell. There's a lot of witches. There's a lot of warlocks out here in the dating world. Y'all do know that, right? Limerence is a love spell. So you ever catch yourself constantly always thinking about them, always wanting to be around them, and they don't even really do nothing for you. It's no reason for you to be thinking about them this much. It's no reason for you to be thinking about them like that. But you just can't get them off your mind. You always thinking about them. They cast a love spell on you 9 times out of 10. Because if it's a healthy relationship, a healthy dynamic between y'all, you're not going to be like that. But sometimes you're dating or dealing with a witch or a warlock and you don't even know it. It cast a love spell on you. And because you're so naive, because you wasn't paying attention, because you didn't have your spiritual armor on, whether you want to call it your spiritual armor, you want to call it the armor of God, whatever you want to call it, because you didn't have your fucking armor on, they got you. They got you. Because that's what limerence is. It's a love spell cast on your psyche. And it can be cast on you a bunch of different ways. They can have like a piece of your clothing. They have a piece of your hair. They can make you some food and put different types of herbs and put some potions in there and cast a whole love spell on you.
So take your picture.
I done dated a couple witches in my life, y'all, so I know what I'm talking about. I done dated a couple of witches. Those are some stories for another day, though. I'll tell y'all some of my dating stories about some of the witches I dated. But we ain't gonna talk about we ain't gonna talk about that right now. That ain't what this video about. This video is about limerence. Like, do they do a lot of stuff for you? Do y'all have a lot of good times together? Like, do y'all actually have a good connection, a tight relationship? Because even people with good connections and tight relationships, they don't be thinking about their partner or thinking about the person they date all the time. Because it's actually a healthy relationship. It's a healthy dynamic. They actually got a whole other life also outside of dealing with that person. So if you in limerence and you don't even really have a reason to be in limerence, guess what? They cast a love spell on you. They did something to you and they cast a love spell on you. Just so you know. And I know you're probably asking, well, how do I break out of it? I don't know how to tell you that. There's multiple ways to break out of a limerence love spell, but it depends. What did they exactly do to you specifically? That's the only way to break it. because you have to literally reverse engineer what they did to you. So I can't tell you because I don't know what they did to you. Because they can have a PCO clothes and a PCO hair. I can't really give you advice on that because you're going to have to get that back, or you're going to have to get something of theirs and reverse engineer what they did to you. I could go into more detail about it if y'all want me to in another video, but I'm just making this video to make you aware that if you're in limerence or you constantly thinking about somebody or you can't get over your ex and stuff like that, they got a love spell cast on you. It's a love spell. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. Magic existed before psychology and science. It's your boy, Conscious Quan. Like, comment, share, subscribe. You did.
Shouts out to Conscious Quan. But you know, that's what I'm talking about, is that if you find yourself obsessing over a man or obsessing over a woman, and here's the thing, a person can cast a spell unknowingly. They're not always standing over a pot like, you know, hocus pocus, alamanosis. You know what I'm saying? They could be doing something. They just could be obsessed with you, and they might be on some weird shit. Grab your panties out the drawer while you're not looking, keep it to their house thing, and be jaying off to it. And they don't even understand that they're creating like a tie that will have you obsessing with them, obsessing over them. But meanwhile, you know, and you're wondering what the hell is going on. So let's go into the origins of romantic love and its connection, and it's in like the history of romance, you know, because when we start talking about romance and this, that, the other, we don't understand that there's like a whole like medieval concepts of even how romance was even brought into the picture when it comes to love. In ancient traditions, a lot of like marriages were arranged, you know, and you know, ancient like African like tribal traditions, they're arranged, and you grew to love that person over time. But where did romance come into the picture? Let's go.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is the origin of romance. So everything has an origin, and that includes romantic love. Now, to be sure, people have been falling in love since the beginning of recorded history. The ancient Greeks, for instance, talk about the phenomenon as a kind of pitiable madness. Those struck by the arrows of Eros were out of touch with reality and robbed of their faculties of reason. Sound familiar? So while the experience of falling in love, or limerence, is nothing new, what is relatively new is considering this state to be desirable. Limerence is the affliction that everyone wants to suffer from. A lot of what I'm going to discuss today will be the condensation of this excellent book, Love in the Western World by Denis de Rougemont. This is a painstaking academic analysis into the origins of romantic love, highly recommended for those with the interest and the patience. Basically, de Rougemont argues that romantic love arose in the 11th or 12th century in the south of France. In this time and place was a popular pagan cult known as the Cathars, which means something like the pure, that was promulgating religious doctrine that was heretical to the Catholic Church.
Did y'all know that? Did you know that romance is actually based on a cult-like mentality that was based in around the Catholic Church? That the actual act of romance. Let's go.
Cities largely composed of Cathars faced significant persecution, extended sieges, holy wars, and inquisitions at the hands of the church. So the Cathars, rather than divest themselves of their beliefs entirely, kind of secularized their cult so that it could more or less continue to exist within the realm of Christendom without persecution. And those secularized principles served as the foundation of what we might now call the cult of romantic love. So the origin of romantic love is religious. Kind of a mind blower, huh? However,
think about that. That romantic love is an actual religious ideal based on a cult in Europe. Romance itself. Interesting.
actually accounts for a lot of aspects of romantic love that would otherwise be kind of inexplicable. Look at a lot of the language that we use when we talk about romance: idol, devotion, worship, adoration, union. These are all religious terms. There are also many pop songs about love that could easily serve as prayers to the divine. My favorite are the lyrics to the Scorpions' No One Like You. I'll put a link in the description. That could have been written by a Franciscan monk waiting for the inspiration of grace during the dark night of the soul. You just need to replace girl with Lord, and it's basically a medieval prayer.
Now think about all those romantic R&B love songs. If you replace the girl with God, how much of those songs would sound like an actual prayer? How much are those songs would actually sound like an actual mantra to God? This is deep, you guys. So next time when people say I want to be about romance, now you know the origins of it. Let's go.
It can also help to explain the power and intensity of the emotions that people feel when they're in the throes of romantic love. It can even feel like the adored has a godlike power over us to make us blissfully happy or hopelessly bereft. To be sure, this is an idol, a god of our own making, but a potent one. Okay, so TLDR, the principles of romantic love are the secularization of the dogma of a persecuted pagan cult in 12th century France. We'll be discussing more about the truths of romantic love in future episodes.
So at the end of the day, romantic love is based on a cult in Europe and connected to the Catholic Church. Did anybody know that? So when you when you actually get deeper into it, it brings it connects witchcraft. That's where you get into love spells, all these different things, potions, all those things existed in Europe. Magic potions to make the person fall in love with you. All those things were based on this kind of cult-like thing. And there's other things that probably people didn't even know that were also kind of from a witchcrafty type of thing. Check this out.
Apparently, the act of spitting in people's mouths is a witchcraft practice.
I believe that.
And it's for a love spell. So it's a witchcraft practice to get people to fall in love with you is spitting in someone's mouth.
You guys believe in spells?
Yeah. I know you have been walking around spitting in everyone's mouths.
That's not true.
It's very true. It's very true.
Spitting, is it to achieve control, create
okay,
love?
So I was reading more into it, and apparently what the reasoning behind it is that it's just a form of ultimate submission. Part of a
God, what the hell?
Don't do ew.
No, not right now.
No,
It's
no.
not the right time.
Apparently, the act of spitting.
I remember when what's his name, the rapper, spit in that girl's mouth, so that he was actually performing a ritual right in front of us, our eyes, that we had no idea, a witchcraft, to make that person more obsessed with him. And people were up there in the audience watching this disgusting shit go on. But think about this. You're talking about spitting in someone's mouth. What is kissing? You might not be spitting in that person's mouth, but you're swapping spit. What is that? You understand? All this stuff is tied in with witchcraft, and people don't even know it. Let's go.
Obsessed. Is it limerence, or is it a powerful soul connection, like a twin flame or another soul contract? Let's break it down. Just in case you're new to limerence, that is the stage of infatuation that everybody goes through when they are experiencing the start of a relationship. Your neurotransmitters and your hormonal physiological system starts going in overdrive. This is what causes the feelings of the heart racing, the palms sweaty, the butterflies in the stomach, or even the obsessive thinking about them. But limerence is usually short-lived. It may or may not be reciprocated. And if it's not, then it kind of fizzles out and you kind of go your own way. It's also, if the relationship doesn't come into fruition, it also burns out. So limerence is kind of like the start, the preparation phase of the plane taking off, when you are experiencing what could be love. But lots of things can disrupt it and make it just fizzle out and dissolve it. And this is why people get the ick, right? And the ick, you can literally wake up one day and not be in limerence anymore. Versus, wow, the soul connection. The soul connection is out of this world. Here's the crazy thing. You don't have to be in a romantic union or be on the path of a love or a romantic relationship to feel the potency of a soul connection. In fact, you can actually be in a relationship happily with somebody else, and all of a sudden your soul is like pulled in this other direction. It's very, very confusing. That's not limerence. Also, the soul contract experience is otherworldly, whereas limerence is more about your body, your hormones, and your mind. Yes, there are emotions in there too, but there's another layer on top of the soul contract experience. This is what propels you to have a spiritual awakening if you are not already spiritual. If you are spiritual, then you are going to feel the energy of another person. You are going to feel this reciprocation of your heart chakra lighting up when they're around. You can even feel their heart chakra when they look at you and you don't know that they're there. You can also feel their emotional experience when you are in separation. You can feel them with another person. You can feel them being intimate with another person. So it's like there's a level of connection and sensation that comes online if you don't already have it, or if you do already have it, is very, very pronounced. You may or may not have this with anybody that you're used to in your 3D experience, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, a great example is going to a massage therapist. And the massage therapist is touching you, right? And you feel the sensation of touch whenever they are working on your back or your shoulders, whatever it is. That's limerence. That's what you're used to. Soul connection is like going to a Reiki practitioner who also does massage, and you can feel the energy of their hands touching you without them actually touching you, you see? And then when they do a massage as well, it's like another level of sensation. That's what the soul connection is about. You can also, 111, you can also experience obsession in the soul contract because your soul is getting you to grow or to move in a certain direction. So you can get stuck on somebody, absolutely like mind-blowingly thinking about them all the time, intrusive thoughts. This can happen in limerence, but it's a little bit different. The soul connection, it's like your soul is guiding you to change in a certain way. And until you get that lesson, it doesn't matter what that person is doing. It doesn't matter how they're treating you. You're still stuck on them. This is why the soul contracts don't make sense. You can be in a soul contract with somebody who's partnered with somebody else. And usually limerence would fade out, but in a twin flame type of connection, you're still stuck on them, or you're still stuck on each other and you can't figure it out. It's because there is a lesson to be learned. There's growth to be had. This is what I specialize in as a true love coach. I help people get to their next level relationship. I also help people work through soul contracts. I have a new group. You can check the link in my bio if you're interested in what I have to offer. You'll feel it. So what happens is that the soul connection will make you stay attached and focused on this individual. And you may not even be interested in a romantic relationship with them, but you're still attached until you understand what it is you're there to learn and grow from with them. You're stuck on somebody, maybe even obsessed.
So this is not about new age, guys. This is about understanding how you are experiencing love. Obsession is not love. Being overly fixated on a person is not love. thinking about that person all the time and that person not reciprocating is not love. You know what I'm saying? So FS Drathio said something about look up the Libertine Enlightenment, and it's talking about the Casanova, a lot of stuff. I don't really know. I don't know the information. I don't even know how to speak on this. So if you want to come up, I did drop the link. Maybe you can clarify this. But when we were talking about the actually early understanding of what romantic love actually is and where it comes from and its origins in Europe and like cult-like behavior and based in spell work and witchcraft, it's interesting that like you have these doctrines that like really break that stuff down. So I hope you come up and check and give us some more insight about that particular thing, because I don't really know where to go with that. But let's talk about romance. Is romance mainly for men? Why is it mainly for men? Let's go.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. The topic of today's short talk is the truth about romance. Romance is for men. This title is probably a shock to most of you, especially to the men out there. I'm here to argue that all the things that go into modern romance, the flowers, the chivalry, the bent knee proposals, are actually not for women. They're for men. This was a big realization for me, and it was even bigger because it was actually staring me in the face the entire time. It's so obvious that it's invisible to people. Now, before I get into it, please remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. It takes less than a second, and it's how you can support me in my mission to deliver free, high-quality content to the world. Really, thanks for your help. Now, let me help you understand why romance is for men. In the pinned comment below, there's a link to this really catchy 90s song called Two Princes by the band Spin Doctors. I remember when I heard this song in the 6th grade for the first time, I made my mom drive me to the mall just so that I could buy the single, which I proceeded to listen to over and over and over again. The song just spoke to me. The song hit #1 on the US charts, and more important to our present undertaking, it perfectly exemplifies what I'm here to talk about. If you haven't done so already, listen to it yourself. It's really catchy. Now, the lyrics of the song tell the story of an age-old romantic trope. Two men are vying for the same woman. One guy is rich. He's established. He has status. As the song says, he's got diamonds in his pockets. But he apparently doesn't really love the woman. On the other hand, the guy, the singer, he's poor. He's got no future. He's got nothing to offer but his heart, but he apparently knows what a prince and lover ought to be. There's nothing new here. This is the same dichotomy you see in almost every romantic comedy or Hallmark movie, so who cares? Well, let me ask you a really obvious and stupid question. Why is this always the case? That is, why is it always the rich, powerful man who doesn't believe in love against the poor, down on his luck dude who does? Or to put it another way, why is it never the rich, powerful man who believes in love against the poor, down on his luck dude who doesn't? And it's an easy question because the answer is obvious. The reason why it's never the other way around is that it wouldn't be a fair fight. The woman would have absolutely no reason to choose the second guy. So there's really no reason to tell that story. There's no conflict because there's no contest. The woman, of course, would choose the rich and powerful man who believes in love. Do you understand? So what was the story before romance was invented? Like, how did it work in medieval and ancient times?
Key word, invented. Romance was invented. So all of you guys saying, I want him to be romantic. It's all that stuff is a concept. It's not even real, because in reality, like that's not even how things really work. You know, once the romance is worn off, then that person shows up as his true self. We have taken on like the actual ideals of a Catholic cult from like the medieval times, and we've woven it into our society to think that that is even how you court. Remember courtship, courting a woman, right? Courting somebody. So all of our like all these conversations that people are having, should a man pay? Should a woman go 50-50? All these things are all based on these romantic ideals that are based in an ancient European cult connected with the Catholic Church in the early centuries of France.
Putting aside the fact that women rarely got to choose their own partners, how were men selected for women back then? Well, before romance, it was just the rich, powerful guy against the poor, down on his luck dude, which, like my hypothetical counterexample, also isn't a fair fight. The first guy wins every single time. And
most of our mythology and what we get taught in school, the Disney princess, all these different things. Okay, you know, she's a princess and she's supposed to get married to the evil prince. Think about all these different Disney movies and fables we get to hear. Aesop fable, you know, about the queen, the princess is about to be a queen, and Shrek and all these different things. And she meets the thing, he's ugly or whatever, and then he turns into a prince because he's romantic and he loves her and this, that, the other. But the other thing is the rich guy who is an arranged marriage, but she don't love him. But so she chooses to run away with the romantic broke dude. All this stuff is based in old European ideals of like that really are based in the cult like ideals.
Those times, not only did the rich and powerful men get their pick of the choicest women, it wasn't all that uncommon for these men to have a whole harem of women. I mean, according to the Bible, King Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines. That guy had 1,000 women, which means that at that time in that place, there was probably 999 other guys who were pissed at Solomon for bogarting all the.
Look, he got for bogarting all the bitches. No, he ain't gonna say that, but bogarting all the women, right? But hold on, how much romance you think Solomon was giving to those women? All 1,000 of them.
Best ladies for himself. But can you really blame the women? Why wouldn't they choose Solomon? He was the king. He had the money and the palaces, which means he could offer resources and protection. And he was wise and generous to boot. The other guys couldn't compete. Now, because romance was actually a historical phenomenon, it originated in the south of France in the 15th century. We know who invented it. Men invented it.
Do y'all hear this? Romance was invented in France. Do y'all hear this? Remember Pepe Le Pew? Wasn't he a French skunk? Chasing after a cat, which is interesting. The cat chasing. Why must I be like that? Why must I chase the cat? Nothing but the skunk in me. Pepe Le Pew. Pepe Le Pew. Remember that whole thing? Oh, my chérie. Look at all like the clues to like the truth of this whole thing. They've been giving us these clues since we were kids. We just didn't know the history of it. Let's go back. What did he say again?
It originated in the south of France in the 15th century. We know who invented it. Men invented it, more specifically, the chivalric knights of that time and place. And these men invented it for them, for men, not for women. And they invented romance in an attempt to compete with the rich and powerful men of their time for access to the best women. And this is because if a guy...
So you asking yourself, why Why is it always the broke dudes that be having the girl, right? The what's it called? The hobosexuals, right? Living with their mammy and stuff like that. Because they learned romance. A guy with money is probably not going to be quite as romantic because he don't gotta be. He's got multiple women. He got the pick of the litter. He ain't gotta be romantic. A guy that's broke gotta be like Pepe, like ooh, my chérie, ooh. You know what I'm saying? And think about that. Romance was created for and by men in France, guys. Let's say it again.
He had the money and the palaces, which means he could offer resources and protection. And he was wise and generous to boot. The other guys couldn't compete. Now, because romance was actually a historical phenomenon, it originated in the south of France in the 15th century, we know who invented it. Men invented it, more specifically, the chivalric knights of that time and place. And these men invented it for them, for men, not for women. And they invented romance in an attempt to compete with the rich and powerful men of their time for access to the best women. And this is because if a guy couldn't convince a woman that he had something special, something intangible that the king didn't have, there's no way he's getting laid.
Oh man, thank you for the super chat. You know what? You know how to romance me. You know just how to get to my heart.
I am blessed to make money, money making money, money making money, money making money, money making money, manifest making money, money making money, money making money, money making.
Yes, you know the way to my heart. That's how you show me some romances. No romance without finance. Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, James Spark, for the super chat. James Sparker for the super chat. Thank you so much. Yes, romance. Me, Tarzan, you, Jane, you go cook. That's how it was. That's before romance. After romance, it was, oh, Shelly, all that bullshit. But the whole objective was to get some punani because the broke people wasn't getting none. And so they had to come up with a way to woo the women to get some coup de cat.
If a guy couldn't convince a woman that he had something special, something intangible that the king didn't have, there's no way he's getting laid. The truth about romance is that it's a strategy that lower status men have adopted in their attempt to compete successfully with higher status men for women. This is also why romance is a young man's game, because most young men don't have anything to offer women, but they still want to get laid. And if it works, it's a pretty slick game, because I, a lower status man, would have convinced you, an attractive woman, that this intangible feeling in my chest is actually more valuable and important to you than all the resources and opportunity that a higher status man could provide for you. I would have to be extremely smooth for that to work. And to be honest, it usually doesn't. Women might think the second guy, the guy who calls himself a prince, is rather sweet and may even play around with him for a little bit. But they generally end up with the first guy, the guy who might actually be a prince and who can provide her with the kind of lifestyle that she would prefer.
Now let's get into that. You know, where's all these red pill conversations on these things talking about half the time? They talk, these women want us for our money. What you bringing to the table and all this other crazy stuff. But now you're talking about how we are made up. What is the function of a man and what is the function of a woman? Romance and all that stuff like that was made to manipulate women into being with a man that wasn't of any, that didn't even have any ability to even like sustain her and provide for her. It was a trick. It's witchcraft.
And this is just mind-blowing for me because guys typically think that romance is for women. I mean, they don't want chocolates and flowers and poetry and jewelry. And they give these things because they think women do. But women still want Solomon, guys. Women still want the king, the powerful, wise, generous, rich alpha male. Things haven't changed because women's nature, like men's nature, hasn't really changed in the last few hundred years. The upshot is that romance was actually invented by men for men to help them compete with more powerful men who would otherwise completely destroy them in the sexual marketplace for desirable women. Take that in. What do you think?
So, when you say that women are hypergamous, people make that into a bad thing, you know, hypergamy being a negative thing. But no, this has been the way women have been since the beginning of time. And I even talk about when I talked about the lion, right? The lion is not just going to let anybody jump upon her and procreate with her. They have to compete. The best one, may the best one win. And humans are no different. The only difference is that the lion figured out how, instead of being the best man, learn how to trick the woman using romance and giving her flowers, or probably bought like a piece of meat or whatever to her. And then while she was eating the meat, jumped on her back and started hunching her and gave her and got her pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Versus the guy that she said, okay, the other one fighting for her, and finally one overcomes, but the other one tricked her. And then now, you know what I'm saying? That is what romance really breeds. It's a trick, okay? See, I'm a soft and gentle guy. Look, I'm a gentleman, you know? I brought you flowers. I brought you this and blah, blah, blah.
I'm Dr. Orion's hair.
You know, I'm this character that doesn't even, but once all that stuff wears off, what's really left is really the person that probably isn't even that person that they've shown you that whole time. Let's get into hexes, the spirit world, and more. Let's go.
Your boy Conscious going back at it with another video. You dig what I'm saying? Y'all know that witches and warlocks will ask you weird ass questions, right? Or maybe it's a monitoring spirit that's taking over a person and they're asking you weird ass questions to get knowledge on you to use against you. Just so y'all can see, sometimes I love these kind of shirts because I like pulling Itachi. For all my peoples out there who know who Itachi Uchiha is, I love having my arm like this because it's like Itachi. Because, bro, the way my mind work, how I be thinking about stuff, whether it be spiritual, psychological, scientific, mathematical, it don't matter. I be feeling like Itachi, bro. I swear, just in my daily life, bro, I be feeling like Itachi. Trying to tell y'all, bro. But anyway, witches and warlocks, they'll ask you weird questions, or monitoring spirits that were sent to you will ask you weird questions because they're trying to get the scoop on you. But they ask you weird stuff like, can I see like a recent photo of you? Or can I touch your hair?
And if you've been on any dating app, what's the first thing a guy would say? Send me some photos of you. Why? You could just ask me out on a date. Why do you need to see photos of me? Since when? I mean, think about this. Since when do a man need a picture of you? Back in the day, they didn't have phones with pictures on them. How did that guy remember you then? All that stuff is all into is people they're doing spell work and don't even know it. They're looking at your picture, they're thinking about you, then that makes you in essence think about them because they're pulling on your energy by looking at your picture. All this stuff, if you are aware of it, be careful who you send your picture to. Don't be just sending your cootie cat pictures to everybody. Don't be just sending your D pics to everybody. All that stuff is like allowing people to pull on your energy, especially if they've actually had sex with you before and they take a picture of you while they're having sex with you, and you're wondering why you're dreaming about them at night because they're jaying off to your picture. Wondering why you waking up, tossing and turning in the bed in the morning, like, why am I thinking about this guy? Why am I, getting aroused and, having I ain't never did this before. Why? Because he probably got up in the morning, flipped open the phone, scrolled to your picture, and he's having a good time with himself, thinking about you, and y'all are spiritually tied to each other now because you guys have been intimate in some poor way. He has this image of you, and that sends energy out. And now now you find yourself thinking about this guy. And that's just not even that's getting back into limerence. You understand what I'm saying? So we talked about romance. We talked about like the actual game of romance. We're going to get even deeper into that. But like what is this connection to witchcraft and the spirit world and this whole thing? We need to be aware of like its connection and how to protect ourselves from this type of energy. Let's go.
Or can I touch your pregnant belly? Or what's your zodiac sign? See, this be little stuff that a lot of people don't really think nothing of. But then little stuff start going wrong in your life. After you give them the correct answer, or after you allow them access to you in whatever way they request it, then weird shit starts happening in your life. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro, y'all gotta pay attention. A lot of spells, a lot of hexes, they don't work on you unless you allow it to work on you. They don't work on you unless you give it permission to be worked on you. But a lot of people are spiritually dense. They're not aware of what's going on. The spirit world is real. The spirit world exists before the physical one. The spirit world has influence over the physical one. The physical world does not have influence over the spiritual world. Y'all understand that, bro? The spiritual world existed before the physical one. So the spirit world controls the physical one. So when weird stuff in your life be happening, stuff you think might be a coincidence and stuff like that, is not. There is shit happening in the ether, in the spirit world, bro. There's shit happening, controlling this physical one. Y'all think I'm talking to y'all right now? I'm not. Whether it be God using me as a puppet right now, or it be Quan in the spirit realm using this fleshly vessel to communicate with y'all. I'm not talking to y'all right now. The spirit world is using me to talk to y'all right now. Y'all understand that? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, bro, this shit not a game, dog. A lot of people be like, bro, the food you eat has a spiritual signature to it. That's why witches and warlocks, they can use food to cast a spell on you. You ever seen movies? You ever seen a witch's brew? Like, bro, y'all don't be paying attention, bro. y'all don't pay enough attention in life, dog. And what's one of the things that because a lot of grandmas used to tell their children about the shit, like, oh, when a woman put period blood in the spaghetti, like shit like that. That's spiritual. That's creating a spiritual attachment to her. Like, bro, this shit real, bro. This shit real, bro. Trying to tell y'all, man. Like, for instance, when y'all be eating too much processed bullshit food, there's parasites in that food. What are parasites? Parasites could be considered demons, because when you look at a parasite underneath a microscope, that motherfucker look evil as shit. It do. It got sharp teeth and big old bug jagged eyes with weird slanted pupils. It look like a damn demon. It look like a damn demon. And what do parasites do, bro? They literally attach themselves to you. That's what a demon does. A parasite attaches itself to you, and it controls your psyche. It controls what you're craving. It controls what you want to eat. Ain't that what a demon do? It controls your actions. It influences you on what it wants you to do. Even though what it wants you to do is bad for you, it don't matter, because you're spiritually dense and you allow it to control you.
And see, when you say spiritually dense, it's like just unaware. Because you're just going through life, you know, and you're not even aware of how things affect you. So you'll go over that girl's house and eat her food and not even know. Even though you know that, but be careful. That's why you don't even let people do your hair. Mess around in your hair. All type of stuff that we were taught. I know I was taught, but some of y'all ain't been taught. Y'all ain't have Big Mama tell you. Don't let nobody just touch your hair. Don't let nobody sweep and make that broom and hit your foot with it. You know what I'm saying? When that happens, you think you're supposed to throw some salt over your back. You know, stuff like that. All these little things that we had, you know, like Big Mama could tell us, Big Mamas, there's that elderly population, they're beginning to be diminished more and more. People were having kids a lot younger. So all that knowledge is going away, and we do have, thank God, we have some young men like this, young women, people that are still trying to keep, make people aware, like, listen, this is not just a physical world, it's a spiritual world. Be aware. Don't just live life as an NPC, just don't even know what the hell's going on. Be careful about who's around you. Because they could be obsessed with you in some kind of weird way, in a negative, or they could be jealous of you. Man, you could be with a person that you're with, dating them, and they could be jealous of you. They could be having sex with another woman that actually is jealous. And then now they're transferring that jealousy. And now you have all these negative energies, and you wonder why, after I slept with this guy, my life went into shambles. Be vigilant. Let's get into soul contracts.
I wanted to start talking about this week's energy by answering actually a few questions that we have had about relationships and soul contracts, and why certain people come into our lives and why we go through the experiences we go through. So the question that I'm often asked is, how is it that when we meet someone, they are a certain way in the beginning? So maybe the first few dates are very positive. The first few months are very positive, maybe 6 months, and sometimes even a few years. And then something changes, something turns. The person isn't the same person we thought they were. So I'm sure everyone listening can kind of go back in time and think of relationships that didn't just always follow the pattern and trajectory that we were used to or that we expected. We had one type of expectation of love. We anticipated one type of care, and maybe we were fed that energy. We were given that energy, and then something switched. So the question is, what's happening on a spiritual level? Because if we don't understand and look at things from the perspective of the creator, then we will always look at things from the perspective of our own tikkun, of our own soul's correction. And so the answers we will get will only be to satisfy and feed the spiritual parasites inside of us. So for example, if a person came to this world with a fear of abandonment, then we know that part of the correction of the fear of abandonment is to experience some form of loss. So that experience will happen on a miniature level, on a micro level, or on a macro level, on a much bigger level of loss. But you will have to feel it. You will have to feel loss in order to go through the darkness, go through the pain, make a decision that the light of the creator is still there, have complete certainty, or at least attempt to have certainty that this is for the good. And this is now you activating your God gene, the literal reason why you came to this world, the only reason you came to this world. You will fulfill your soul's correction. When this God gene is activated, your vessel now expands, the light of the creator comes in, and we shift to a new destiny where there are miracles and there are wonders and there are all the fulfilling things, even things that we cannot anticipate that we've ever wanted, begin to come into our life. So
let's talk about this real quick, right? So a lot of times we get into these relationships and we don't do what we, lessons learned, right? So you'll get into a relationship with a person, things don't work out. And instead of self-reflect, we end up in limerence, obsession. Why didn't this thing work? Whatever. And that's where you get into, if you get into a more spiritual understanding of relationships, then you can understand that there are certain contracts that you might have had with other beings. You might have, and I believe in reincarnation. In one life, you might have, decided, listen, we're gonna come down here, we're gonna meet each other, and you're gonna test me on this. We make a contract, and this thing is to then either you pass the test or you don't. So the objective is to learn something from the situation. So whenever you're in a relationship and it doesn't work out, rather than beat yourself up over it, the important thing to do is, okay, what is this person's role in my life? When you meet a new person, you got to ask yourself on a deeper level, why am I meeting this person? especially if if you choose to keep them in your life. Like, what is the lesson I'm supposed to learn from this person? What is this person's point a purpose in my life?
If you have this correction of fear of abandonment, you will have to experience this fear. You have to at some point experience some form of loss. If we do not look at it in the way that we're about to explain, if we do not approach relationships or the loss of relationships or the disappointment in relationships or the rejection in relationships or the deception that we think we went through in relationships, if we do not perceive it in the way that I'm about to share according to the sages, we are merely reacting to the pain and feeding that soul correction as opposed to transforming it. We're empowering it. We will be empowering our fear. We will actually be thickening the curtain between our soul and our body. And then we will be confused. We will see everything in a distorted way. We will keep choosing the wrong people or quote unquote wrong people in our lives. We will be attracted to something toxic and we will feel repulsed by something healthy. Have you ever thought or wondered why that is? You know, the example I probably shared before of someone who's dating and she's very clear about how she wants to be in a long-term relationship. However, as she dates very good suitors and individuals, what many might consider healthy or established, ones that care about her. And I asked the question, what was wrong with that one? And what was wrong with that one? And often the answer would come, it's too perfect, it's too good, it's boring. Why is it boring? Because it's healthy in her eyes, which means that there's something about the soul's signal is not getting through. Because when the soul gets through the body, when that thick curtain is no longer there and the soul can communicate to the body's desire will be aligned with the soul's desire. So you will be desiring something that is healthy for you, as opposed to being attracted to something that is unhealthy for you. It's very much like health itself. If my body has toxicity in it, if I'm used to eating unhealthy, then when my body sees, or when I see food that is not good for me, I will crave it. If I'm used to having sugar, when I see sugar, I will crave it. If my body is used to caffeine, when I see caffeine, I will crave it. If I am a smoker and I'm addicted to smoking, when I see a cigarette, or even if I have an imagination of a cigarette or anything else, I will crave it. Now, the body.
Let's think about that, right? So this person, you bring them into your life, and they're toxic for you. There is a lesson to be learned. You finally get rid of that person, and you find yourself redating the same person over and over again in different bodies. My opinion is you didn't learn the lesson the first time. So people need to like take inventory in their life and figure out, okay, what am I doing? Why am I in this repetitive cycle? And break the cycle. When you see that yourself doing something over and over again, listen, that is insanity. Over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity. So you have to do something different. You have to like take inventory in your life. Now you see all these people on these red pill conversations. They're not talking about the soul contract, the spiritual contract that people have, repeating cycles over and over again because there's some trauma within yourself. Every person that you meet in this world is tied to the relationship that you have with them, is tied to something that within you need to be aware of. There's every time. And either you learn the lesson or you continue to repeat it.
He is craving something, the soul knows, and you even know, maybe this isn't the best thing for me, but why do I crave it so much? We would love for our body to also be aligned with our soul. We would love to sit at a restaurant. Ultimately, this is what happens when we do the spiritual work. Your body is not ordering from the menu, your soul is. So your body may say, I want meat, but the soul will say, actually, we should choose fish. Why? Because the soul also sees, and we've discussed this in deeper classes, I believe Kabbalah 2 and 3, we go into it, that every animal and every plant and every mineral that comes to this world, and especially the ones that appear at a dinner table, has a soul in it and a spark of light that are unique to what we need in our spiritual journey. So that fish or that meat or that salad isn't there just by chance. And it's not just food, it's actually light. So the creator arranges sparks of light in different foods that we elevate when we chew this food with the right intention and the right consciousness. And we're connecting to the essence, the energy that's in food, as the spiritual energy.
Didn't Quan just say the same thing in another way? See, I brought you two different things saying the same thing, but some people might look at the other guy and say, because of how he's talking, they might not take it in. But now you have a person that's a Kabbalah a preacher or a discussion or conversation. He's talking from the Kabbalah, and the Kabbalah says the same exact thing.
As opposed to the physical. Now, if you aren't thinking this when you're eating, you're not making as strong of a connection. And oftentimes you could eat the wrong foods and connect to souls that have actually been trapped in different animals that will cause a person's consciousness to actually be changed. So this is true. And we know this actually thousands of years ago. Tribes would eat raw organs or raw hearts before they would go into battle and war because it gave them a certain animalistic desire and power, because this is the energy that is being transferred. Kabbalah also explains deeper, and I don't think this is the time for it in this podcast because we want to focus on relationships, but it is fascinating. Kabbalah does also explain that eating from the animal kingdom creates a certain energy inside of us. It's not good or bad, but it's a certain energy. Plant kingdom creates a different energy, and mineral creates a different one. And so every soul is attracted to a different style of eating. Some people are vegan and they're emphatic about it. Some people only eat protein. Some people are vegetarian. And whatever you are called to do often is the soul's request of what it needs in order to elevate certain sparks of light, which is really fascinating. This is why we cannot judge someone who is vegan or not vegan. This is why we cannot judge someone who has a certain diet that we might disagree with. The reason why they desire or crave it is because there is a connection that their soul needs to the light that is in that type of food. And of course, we go through seasons. Sometimes we crave to be a certain way with a certain diet, and then it transforms as well. So going back to relationships, the reason why things change, and they inevitably will, is because the person you are dating, the person you're in a relationship with, at some point, they also have to go through their soul correction. So maybe they were able to show up for you and give to you in a way that you really felt understood, that you felt seen and heard. But at some point along their journey, in order for them to go through their soul correction, their stability was taken away. Maybe they're going through a difficult financial situation. Maybe they're going through a health condition. Maybe all of a sudden the creator chose at that moment in time to awaken a fear in them, an anxiety in them that maybe they did not have to deal with in the first 6 months. And now they are going through their spiritual process. But what happens when people are going through their darkness, through their dark night of the soul, through their next level, we begin to take it personally and we don't fully understand these changes that are happening. We think we are interacting with someone maybe who is selfish or who doesn't have empathy for us or who just changed all of a sudden. We begin to label people. We begin to call them avoidant. We begin to call them narcissistic. We begin to call them clingy or unhealed. And the danger of that is we are not approaching this from why the creator is putting us all through this process.
Now, I'm going to tell you this, is that there is a lot of thing about the avoidant and the attached. I think I showed that earlier in a different live stream where we talk about the avoidant attachment style. See, all these things are clinical terms that take the spirit out of things. But I wanted to bring it back to the spiritual world, bring it back into like the because they're and really make people aware about like how the spirit interacts in relationships. People are not talking about the spirit in relationships anymore. They're just only talking about the surface of it all. You have all these panels that get up here and they talk all this, the woman, the women, y'all women ain't doing, oh yeah, but they're not talking about the depths of like why did I meet this woman that did this? Why are women acting this way? What am I to learn from a woman that's doing this? If we learn that, if we decide that we can learn from each other, then our relationships could be more fulfilling because we understand that this person is probably doing the best that they can, or maybe not. If they're a player, there's people that are, but even the player is meant to come into your life to teach a lesson. Let's go.
There's also a process you're going through because two people will never meet unless their tikkuns or soul corrections are completely aligned energetically. So the creator arranged that this person, this man or woman, would go through their soul correction because of fears that are awakened in them at the same time that you need to go through yours. You will never go through something. No one can hurt you, touch you, or harm you unless there was permission given from the upper worlds for you to go through your process. It's a very powerful and important concept. Nobody could hurt you unless there was a destiny to go through a certain process. When we can see things beyond, hey, you did this to me, hey, you are this and that, the creator then gives us divine wisdom how to navigate this scenario and never repeat it again. Something we should never say. is that relationship was terrible. That person was terrible. That person was a waste of my time. That person took 2 years of my life. That person, I wish I had never met them. Every time we have this narrative or this vibration, replace the word that person with the creator. The creator wasted my time. The creator was toxic. I wish I never met the creator. I hope the creator suffers and is never happy. I hope the creator suffers the way I suffered. I'm going to block the creator. I'm going to now go on a mission to tell everyone how bad the creator is. This is actually an example we do in Kabbalah 1. We ask people to write down who is the person that has hurt you, who is the person that has betrayed you or deceived you. And then you have to change, and what did they do to you? And how did you feel? And you have to change the name of the person with the creator. In the last 20 years that I've taught Kabbalah 1, and I've done this example, the laughter in the room, because it's absolutely absurd. You're supercharged about this person who you literally think wasted your time, stole your innocence, made you jaded, awakened all this trauma inside, or created all this trauma, but in reality, it was the creator the whole time. And now we are angry with the creator. Think
about that. You think that you're angry at that person, but really you're angry at God because God brought that person into your life to begin with. Ain't that something? But I'm gonna come back and let him finish up. But I want to go into the romance part a little bit more because I want to remove like some of the blinders off of our eyes when it comes to relationships, of like those initial things that happen in relationships that can that can blind us and take us away from really understanding things from a spiritual level. Let's go.
And this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is romance is a game of hide and seek. So this is another episode in my Truth About Romance series. In today's episode, I'm going to explain the fundamental game of romantic relationships and exactly how it operates. As the title suggests, the fundamental game at the heart of romantic relationships is hide and seek. It's very simple. It kind of works like this. First, I am going to cut out a part of myself. And then I'm going to hide that part of myself in someone of my choosing. And then I'm going to forget about the cutting and the hiding and the choosing. The forgetting is actually a very important part of all this because, as we'll see, becoming increasingly aware of this mechanism of action ruins the entire game. After all, if you're going to have any fun seeking, you can't already know where you've hidden the thing that you're looking for now, can you? But those are the rules. That's how you play. There's the cutting and the hiding and the choosing and the forgetting. Let's go through each step. First, the cutting. The idea here is to repress awareness of certain aspects of the self so that we are no longer in emotional contact with those parts of ourselves. It's not that they're actually removed. We didn't really cut them out. We just kind of can't see them or feel them inside of ourselves for a while. So we kind of assume that they're not there. Now, people do this all the time. I've talked several times on this channel about the mechanism of evil, whereby people disavow the shameful and unacceptable parts of themselves, project them onto others, and then attempt to cleanse the world of their own darkness by destroying the object onto which that darkness was projected.
Wow. And we also, when we are like when we find a person that we like, it's really a mirror of ourselves that we are falling in love with. See, there is a mirror in the person as you're looking at your own reflection. That is why people would say reflection, right? So the things that you even might find a fault in another person, and might be actually aspects of yourself that really need to be fixed. Let's go.
This is the source of the vast majority of unnecessary suffering on this planet. Romance, on the other hand, works a little differently. Rather than cut off contact with the unacceptable parts of themselves, romantics actually cut out some of the most acceptable and respectable and ennobling parts of themselves, and then project those parts into others.
These are the parts that are beautiful and good and kind, even the parts that recognize the share of divinity we all partake in as human beings. These parts are cut off and hidden in somebody else, hidden in somebody that they can now very literally call my love. Of course, this creates a liability for romantics. As long as they are cut off from these parts of themselves, they are going to feel less than whole, incomplete, even broken, a fragment of what they could otherwise be. And love, in their imaginations, will remain a kind of mythic alchemy, whereby the fractured self is finally healed and made whole. And they're going to seek that wholeness in reunion with the person on whom they have projected these disavowed parts of themselves. Now, if romantics were to go through all this trouble, you would think that they would at least choose to hide these disavowed parts of themselves in someone with whom they would be likely to unite. But if you still think this, you don't yet understand the point of the game, which I'll get to in a moment. In point of fact, romantics seem to do their darndest to hide these parts of themselves in the last people with whom they could reasonably hope to unite. And this happens too often to be mere coincidence. People often say that attraction isn't a choice. That technically isn't entirely true, because this whole game doesn't progress at random or by accident. It's probably more accurate to say that attraction isn't a conscious choice. People aren't simply the innocent victims of Cupid's drive-by. They're generally more involved in the process than they might think. Now, before I go any further, if you're liking what you're hearing, then please consider sending this episode to someone who might benefit from its message, because it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow. I'm also proud to announce that my book, The Value of Others, is now available for pre-sale on Amazon.
Yes, shouts out. His name is Orion Taraban. His book is called The Value of Others. Okay. So please support his channel, Orion Taraban's channel. And I just wanted to bring something new because, like I said, we talk about relationships from such a toxic level. Why don't we get down to the spirit of it all? Let's go.
I'm also writing original content for my free newsletter every week. So if you'd like to sign up, you can do so on my website. Finally, please fill out an inquiry form on my website if you're interested in booking a paid consultation. Links to everything in the description. Let's get back to it. Now, romantics tend to choose to hide these parts of themselves in people with whom, for whatever reason, it would actually be fairly difficult to connect. Maybe they're just in from out of town for the weekend, or they're already in a relationship with somebody else, or they're way out of their league, etc. And the reason for this is kind of counterintuitive, but here it is. Romantics don't actually want to get what they want. After all, to the extent that I'm right, the easiest way for them to get what they want would be to become increasingly aware that they had it the entire time and that this complicated rigmarole is completely unnecessary. And they don't want this for several significant reasons. First, ever wonder why people in emotionally satisfying relationships or with full and interesting lives in which they are cultivating meaning and purpose don't seem to fall in love? It's not a coincidence that people tend to fall in love when they're dissatisfied with their careers, or they're in an unsatisfying relationship or no relationship at all, or they're kind of lost or coasting through life. There are certain conditions under which a game of hide and seek becomes more appropriate. This is not merely a diversion from boredom or a distraction from the misery of existence, though of course it can be. It's a way of motivating action. How? Well, if you're unsatisfied with your life, then you kind of need to hide what good you possess somewhere else, as this will motivate you to leave an unfulfilling situation and seek out that goodness elsewhere. And this kind of makes sense. Like, it wouldn't be motivating to project the bad things out there. That's not going to motivate anyone to seek them out. The game of romance is functionally casting out a line that you've baited with certain disavowed positive aspects of yourself so that you might catch yourself in a different location. You'll catch yourself in a different location because you've baited your lure with something that you want, and you've cast your line out beyond your present circumstances, at least.
So you're playing a game with your own self. It's a game. You're playing a game. Romance is a game. And once we get past that game and playing games with ourselves and playing games with others, then you can actually get to the bottom of it and get to the spirit. When you remove the illusion of romance, then you can actually get to love.
In theory, you have. However, as stated previously, romantics don't actually want to catch themselves because that would bring the whole game to a close. And they would functionally need to stay where they are and build with what they have. And this can be a bitter pill to swallow because people are disappointing. And life can be tedious, wearisome, and hard. There is adventure in seeking. There is no adventure in finding. Getting what they want would effectively end the game for romantics and eliminate the possibility that somewhere out there, there's a better life waiting for them. Contending with hopelessness is not something humans typically do very well. In any case, romantics want to get what they want about as much as they want to become aware of this whole process. That's why the game has to be hidden so deeply in order for it to be playable. Just like you can't really tickle yourself, romantics have to feel as if those parts of themselves really do inhere in external reality in order to feel something. Otherwise, what's the point? This is why people are not only in denial about this process, but they are often willfully in denial about this process and will fight tooth and nail against anyone who threatens to bring this to their awareness. Romantic love is a very cherished golden calf. However, the truth is that you can't actually reunite with the disavowed parts of yourself by entering into a romantic relationship with another person. That's the truth. You can only do that by preventing the disavowal of those parts to begin with. Romantics have been whole the entire time. They only feel incomplete and separate in their own perceptual experience as a consequence of this disavowal.
Now think about this. Take this back to men, and that romance was for men, right? These men didn't feel whole, right? Because they didn't have any money, right? So they created romance to get this woman so that they could feel complete. But in reality, they were already complete. So when you play the game of romance and everything, it's all a game of trying to find yourself in someone someone else, but really you need to find yourself first, and then you could you don't even need to fake it, you know.
To become whole, people don't need a relationship. People need to wake up to their own essential wholeness and heal from whatever emotional wound caused the self to become fractured in the first place. This is typically not as exciting as the game of hide and seek, but trust me, it is far more rewarding. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. As always, I appreciate your support and thank you for listening. And now, a word about.
Right. So I wanted to show you guys that before we got really deeper into the spiritual aspect of it, because that whole game that we're playing takes us away from our spiritual essence. When we deal with relationships from a spiritual godlike place, then you don't need to feign romance. Romance then becomes a nothing burger because you're dealing in love. You're dealing in the reality and the truth of the matter. You're able to actually identify with your partner because you've actually been whole yourself and you've dealt with the trauma that you already have, and you're able to then look at that other person and you probably will not attract a person that's also going through trauma because you're going to meet another whole person. You become whole, you meet another whole person, you guys come together and you guys can be in love. And romance does not have to be the center of it.
People don't even really exist. Nobody exists. Everything is an illusion. All there is you and the light of the creator. So when in the great writings of the sages, the verse is Ein od milvado. There is nothing besides you and the light of the creator. And when you believe that and know that, the darkness disappears. The lessons become learned. The creator begins to speak to you. Your soul begins to shine, overpowering your body. And now your desires of the body are aligned with the desires of your soul. And this is called entering the realm of miracles. It says that King David would wake up in the morning and his body would just move towards miracles. He didn't even have to think or choose. Often people say, I don't know what decision to make. When you don't know what decision to make, my teachers have taught me, it is because you still have not connected body and soul, because the soul will immediately see the future, because the future exists in the moment anyways. There's no time, and the body will know. So when the body doesn't know, it's because the body's not connected. So instead of trying to figure out what do I do, you must find ways to close the space between the body and the soul. And the space is created by our negativity, not the negativity of somebody else who doesn't even really exist. Your girlfriend does not exist. Your spouse does not exist. Your children do not exist. The person who is taking credit for the work you're doing in your company does not exist. The employees who are not giving you what you want, the type of work you want, who are not aligned energetically with you, they do not exist. Your parents don't exist. That one family member that you think has mental illness, that is causing all these problems and this drama, she does not exist. He does not exist. Now, do they exist? In the physical world, they do. And if you want to live in the physical world, what we call the 1% reality, the tree of knowledge, good and evil, the realm of chaos and illusion, that's a choice. In that world, I agree, every man for himself, there is no control. You could be the smartest, the wisest, and the richest, and you will suffer. In the realm of the tree of life, what we call the 99%, the realm of the light of the creator, there's a different set of rules. And if you want to exist in that realm, access to this realm is they will ask you at the door, what do you believe? Do you believe Ein od milvado? Do you believe there's nothing besides you and the light of the creator? If the answer is yes, you're granted access. If you say, yeah, I believe there's nothing but the light of the creator and this guy who hurt me and this relationship that was a waste of time, they don't let you in. They send you back to the physical realm of chaos. The whole point of the chaos of this physical world is that it will be so exhausting and painful that we will all start to ask questions. Who is the creator? There must be something more than this. Every wealthy person I know at some point in their life has said, or they will say, what is the point of all this? I got this, I got that, I got the home, I got the car, I got the other home, I have money, I fly wherever I want, I do whatever I want, I eat whatever I want, I sleep with whoever I want, and I feel unhappy. There must be.
Let me say this, at one point I wasn't wealthy, but I did have a lot of I was doing pretty well for myself. And I guess I might have been going through a dark night of the soul because, once I was able to accumulate all these different things and money chase and do all those things to gain all the things that I had, 2 houses, cars, this, that, the other. Yes, it's I looked up and I'm like, okay, I did all this work and I'm still not happy. Because happiness is not in things. It's not in other people. You have to find that happiness within yourself. And that's why romance is an illusion. All this stuff, when I say it's spell work, it's in a manipulation that you're using to manipulate yourself, to look outside yourself for gratification. Once you stop looking outside yourself and you begin to look within, then all these different constructs, romance, romantic love spells, witchcraft, all these different things no longer exist, and it's just you and the creator. Shouts out to the Kabbalah for being there to even, me being an Ifa priest. I'm not sitting up here judging it. Look, I'm showing you Kabbalah. I'm showing you psychology. I don't look at any of these things and say, I just find the truth and I show it to you. That's the thing. Ifa is not about it's about the truth. It's about the information, right? If this is what you need to hear to get yourself on track, it doesn't have to come from Ifa. It can come from Kabbalah. It can come from psychology. It can come from Christianity, Buddha, Hindu, all that. So me as an Ifa priestess, I can actually listen to the Kabbalah and say, man, you're sure you're right. And it is pretty much saying the same thing. All these things are really saying the same damn thing. Let's go.
All this. I got this, I got that, I got the home. I got the car. I got the other home. I have money. I fly wherever I want. I do whatever I want. I eat whatever I want. I sleep with whoever I want. And I feel unhappy. There must be more than this. Often, the negative side does not want them, obviously, to know that there's a realm called the realm of miracles, the realm of the light of the creator. So the negative side comes up with a backup plan and says, let's be charitable. Let's start a charity. Let's do something very noble and help people. But please, whatever you do not connect your soul to the light of the creator. This is an interesting one. What's so bad about being charitable? By the way, the negative side could also say, go teach Kabbalah. Go start teaching spirituality. Go be a teacher. Why? Because teaching Kabbalah does not connect me to the light of the creator. In fact, if anything, truth be told, it will create more difficulties for me to connect with the light of the creator. All it could possibly do for any teacher in this world is create an ego, create the need for validation, create a host of other problems, which actually thicken the layers between the body and the soul. The only thing that connects us to the light of the creator is when we go through our personal transformation and we know that there's nothing besides us and the light of the creator in every painful situation. This is the only thing that connects us. If you wrote 100...
See, the reason why he's saying that, teaching this, doing that, all these things are external things. I'm going to become charitable. That means that I'm like, instead of me connecting to and doing what I got to do for myself and getting myself on track, why am I asking why? I'm going to just start giving out money, right? Okay, I made all this money and I'm still unhappy. Instead of saying, why am I unhappy and really getting down to the bottom of it? Well, I'm just, okay, well, maybe it's because I need to be fulfilled by seeing other people happy. And I went through this myself. When I had money, I thought, okay, well, I need to be charitable. I need to work, I need to help other people. But in my journey as a priest, it was like, dude, no. First of all, it's a law of reciprocity. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother thing we're gonna get into. But the bottom line is that you have to figure out, okay, why are you unhappy? Why do you have all these things and are still unhappy? Because you've ignored it all this time and focused on the external world and not the internal world. You have to focus on yourself, on the inside, and love, and all these different things will come to you when you are whole.
Books on spirituality, and you changed 100 million lives. They do not care about this in the upper world. Well, is that important? It is, because that puts you on a vibration that connects you to an energy that gives you the strength, the merit, and the guidance to do your correction. But it is not the correction itself. We did not come to this world to write books. Nobody cares. The creator could write all the books. The creator could enlighten everybody. The creator doesn't need us to enlighten anyone. We only came with the free will to choose to become godly ourselves. The only reason being a teacher or being charitable could be a soul correction is if in that moment of a selfish endeavor in life, you choose to have an altruistic one. That moment of transformation is a revelation of light. But after that, the only thing that's going to reveal light is in your pursuit of helping others, you will be tested, and you must transform yourself in those tests. It's not the help itself that is revealing the energy, the new energy that our soul came to receive. In summary, Ein od milvado. This is the phrase. This is the mantra. There is nothing besides me and the light of the creator. I release blame from everyone in my life, and I will no longer label people because it serves my negativity. I will no longer label people as a waste of time, as negative, as someone who betrayed me or deceived me. These are all relationships that the creator gave me for me to become my perfected self. I will honor them because I want to honor the creator. I will appreciate them. I will love them for the mission they did, even though it was painful. And as a result, I will never have to not only repeat those relationships, but it says that all darkness becomes light. All the sins become merits. And everything that was once negative actually goes to the positive side and becomes light.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place. Creating the force and the power to live a better Know that love and joy and peace is one and all of the same space. That you were chosen just like God. That's right. I'll give myself. Only you can make the change. I'll give my share. Your attitude. I'll give myself. Shine so bright. From darkness to light. Hey, hey, hey. From darkness to light. Yeah. And you'll find your way out. Yeah.